where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And this is very easily the part of Studio Series I am most excited about now. You know, they just keep making Studio Series better, at least for me. When they were doing Studio Series in general, I was like, cool, I really like this. I'm in. This is a really cool line. Then they switched over and started doing Studio 86 on the side. And wow, I was like, man, how could it get any better than this? Studio 86, that's the best, you know? And then there were rumors, which again, we don't report on, that I was cautiously optimistic for, which paid off. And Hasbro announced that they were doing the Studio Series Gaming Edition. And the first figures they announced were for War for Cybertron. The original War for Cybertron. Hasbro, stop recycling titles to stuff, because it really confuses new fans when we talk about things like War for Cybertron or Robots in Disguise. I know there are fans who really like the Netflix trilogy, and I know there are fans who really don't like the Netflix trilogy. I'm more in the middle. I enjoy it. It's not my favorite part of Transformers. It's a better series than a lot of fans give it credit for. Optimus Prime sounds like absolute garbage. He is. I'm sorry, Jake Fucci, I don't think you're a bad guy, but as an Optimus voice actor, you're absolute hot dog water. Just saying. But here we have from the true War for Cybertron, which most fans have to call Fall of Cybertron due to its awesome sequel, because of the confusing titles now. We have Optimus Prime from the very first game of what's considered the two greatest Transformers video games of all time. Transformers War for Cybertron and Transformers Fall of Cybertron. So here's Optimus's first look, and you've got some really great artwork there on the front of his character model from the game. Close-up of him on the side. Good image of him on that side. And I love that we have this D-pad symbol there. And you'll notice next to the numbers, there's also a D-pad to signify Gamer Edition, which I also really like. Transformers War for Cybertron logo on top. Images of the figure on the back. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. And of course, before we do our close-up, here he is on his backdrop. And the backdrops for the Studio Series Gamer Edition don't disappoint either. We have right here a backdrop of Kaon, which is where you go in the second mission of the Autobots portion of the War for Cybertron campaign. Very, very awesome print on that. I might actually keep this one. I don't usually keep the backdrops to the Studio Series figures, but I might actually keep this one. I haven't decided yet. And here he is nice and close up out of the packaging. I absolutely love this figure. It is pretty much everything I needed it to be as a fan of this game, as a fan of this story, and as a fan of this character. Now, there are some things I wish they would have done different, like some of the other fans. I share some of the same opinions as you guys on this figure, but there are a lot of things they did right with this figure that I really love. Firstly, I love his accessories. I like that we got his blaster from the game, and this is the actual in-game blaster that Optimus uses. Would have been nice if it had some other paint detail on it, but I can go in there with a paint pen later. It's not a big deal, but again, it's not on... But again, when it comes to figures, it shouldn't be on the collector. It shouldn't be on the buyer to finish the details on the figure. Just saying. And he comes with his signature axe from the game, and we have both configurations because we see it in both ways. In the trailer, we see it, I believe, like this. In the game, it's got the double-headed axe look, which, wow. it even transforms, which is so cool. Now, I know some fans have been complaining about the paint job because, you know, they did this little bright orange effect that kind of fades out the closer you get. Honestly, I like this. It would have been cooler if it was a translucent plastic, and it should have been a translucent plastic. But for a solid gray piece, the paint effect that they did, I see what they were going for, and I appreciate it, and I'll take it over a solid gray axe with some cool textures versus no paint whatsoever. I think they did a pretty decent paint job on this axe, personally. It also disassembles, which is pretty cool, and I like that it disassembles on the handle as well, so you can have him two-hand it, you can have him hold it, you know, midway. You can have him hold it closer to the edge. You get some really cool different poses out of this guy because of that. And then, of course, he doesn't hold his blaster in his hand, and there's no way for him to hold his blaster in his hand, which is totally fine because in-game, they don't hold their blasters in their hands. None of the blasters in-game are handheld. You take the right arm off at the forearm, and it pegs on at the elbow. This is so incredibly game accurate. I love this so much. Hasbro should have been doing this 10 years ago when figures for these games were coming out, but I'm glad that they're doing it now, and I'm glad that, you know, they haven't completely neglected War and Fall of Cybertron, because for me, War and Fall of Cybertron is the peak of Transformers fiction. It is my #1 favorite Transformers story out there. It was so well done. It was so well portrayed by absolutely every member of the voice acting cast. The animation, the artwork, all of it was just so on point. And hopefully maybe we as fans get the continuation we deserve at some point in the future. I mean, obviously High Moon's no longer around, right? But, you know, Hasbro still owns Transformers, so it's not like they can't just say, hey, you, this game studio, start working on a sequel. I want it just like this. Get on it, you know? And I think that's totally feasible. Now, in case you're wondering what to do with the disassembled hand here, you can take this peg right here, and it pegs on his butt, which looks kind of weird because it looks like he's pooping a fist, you know, depending on how you have him posed. If you have it like that, I kind of wish that with the way that the front of the vehicle mode just kind of closes down, I kind of wish that it went in here and then you just kind of close it over it. That way it doesn't look like he's totally pooping a fist, but, you know, it is what it is. You could also always just kind of have it set to the side, but in case you wanted it stored on the figure, that's where you can store it. Now, there is one other really awesome feature on his robot mode that I absolutely love, and that is his chest actually opens up this time, and inside is a removable matrix. Now, the front side of the matrix looks really cool. The back side leaves a little bit to be desired. It's just solid gray and hollow. Now, it's like that so it'll actually attach to the chest. It's not necessarily meant to be a separate display piece, even though it is removable, which is still very much appreciated. I mean, it looks really great right there. Fully articulated head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders in and out, upper bicep, single jointed elbows, and wrist joints. Waist, hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees, side ankle joints, and the foot can kind of wiggle forward and back a little bit due to transformation, but hey, you still get some nice clearance there, which again, only helps making more awesome poses. Real quick for comparison, here he is next to the original Generations release of the War for Cybertron Optimus, and while I still very much love this figure a lot, I do like this figure more just because he's looks a little bit more bulky and screen accurate. As awesome as this one was, he was a little too sleek compared to the actual character model and design, and he wasn't big enough. Making him a deluxe was just not a good decision. Optimus and Megatron from that line should never have been deluxe class figures. They should have always at the very least been Voyager or leader class figures, and I'm glad that we have him in Voyager scale now. He's very nice and sizable. He scales well with other Optimus Primes that have been fairly recently released in the Generations line. And for comparison, and surprisingly enough, I have not really seen this from other reviewers yet, especially my most favorite Transformer reviewer, name drop time, MGO. MGO is my #1 favorite Transformer reviewer. If you haven't checked him out, I'll put a link to his channel down below. He's just, I just love his energy. He's very enthusiastic. He's fun to watch. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. He definitely doesn't know who I am, but you know, that's okay. Anyway, I was really surprised to see he didn't make this comparison, but here he is next to the Planet X. The Planet X Optimus Prime figure from Fall of Cybertron. And I wish they were closer in scale. Now, granted, this is a third-party figure next to a official release figure, an officially licensed figure. But when it comes to Fall of Cybertron figures, Planet X is the guys you want to go with. They have done some incredible things with War and Fall of Cybertron. I mean, hopefully as Studio Series progresses, we'll get more and more awesome characters that we never got before. And there's definitely going to be figures that Planet X made, I'm sure. But yeah, if you really like some good high-end, high-quality figures, check out Planet X, guys. They are incredible. I have literally every character that they've done for the video games, and I love every single one of them. They're amazing. Transformation is pretty cool and simple with this guy. First, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the blaster from his elbow there, because you actually have to have his regular arm on for transformation. Now, you can have him transformed without it. It is possible to do it without it. It's going to look a little weird, and it already looks weird with both anyway. More on that when we actually get him in vehicle mode. First, what we're going to do is let's straighten out those arms there. We're going to pull on the shoulder sections here and pull those out from the torso. Come over here to the back. We're going to bring that up, bring that around, rotate that all the way, kind of bring it out of the way for the moment. And then we're going to rotate these sections forward like so. And then we're going to bring back and rock that all back until you hear it click all the way like so. And then you're going to lean that head back, bring the front of the vehicle mode down. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to lift up on these sections right here, untab this section right here on the sides of the legs, fold the feet forward, and then we're going to tab the legs together. Next, we're going to come over here to the back, flip these wheel sections, rotate the waist, come back over here. We're going to bring these arms in and down. Bring these arms in and down. And you want the shoulders facing each other, and the forearms are going to peg together like so. So those are going to sit right there under the legs of the vehicle mode. Next, we're going to just start tabbing things together. So back to the front, we want to make sure that this section is down all the way with these fenders here over the bumper, and then we're going to push in, and those little tabs on the inner parts right there are going to tab into those intersections of the fender like so. Tab these back sections together and bring that panel down like so. Bring up the exhaust pipes, rotate these sections to the front, and then they're going to tab into this whole side section, filling in that gap, and tab into the little tab right here on these top sections like so, making this all nice and one piece. And there he is in his vehicle mode, which again looks very, very good. However, the fists in the back. This is the biggest complaint on this figure for pretty much everybody, is just the fists hanging out of the back. Yeah, someone's probably going to go in and make some cover for that, which is fine, but yeah, Hasbro definitely should have designed something for that. Some kind of panel that drops down, maybe folds off the bottom of the foot, I don't know, something. I'm not that hung up about it, mostly because I don't know about the rest of you Transformer fans out there, but I don't typically display my figures in their alt mode backwards. That's just me. I don't know if you do, and if you do, hey, it's your toy, it's your action figure. Display it however you want. You know, that's your choice. But yeah, I don't typically just, if you see my collection at home, my figures don't look like this. They don't sit on shelf like this. Usually they're in robot mode or their main alt mode. But that's just me. You can take his ion blaster and peg it on top of the back of his alt mode, and it looks pretty cool like that. You can disassemble this and like kind of peg it on, but I mean, there's not really good weapon storage for the axe, let's be honest here. And for comparison, here is the new Optimus next to the original War for Cybertron Optimus figure in their alt modes. And while I like the size of this one significantly better, detail-wise, in alt mode, I actually do prefer this one a little bit more, especially from the backside. Again, I don't display my figures backwards in alt mode, but this looks significantly better than this does. Let's all be honest here. Also, for comparison, here he is next to the Planet X Fall of Cybertron Optimus, so you can see them side by side in their alt modes. And of course, this one's significantly beefier than this one is. But that was part of the thing with Fall of Cybertron, was Optimus was bigger and beefier in Fall of Cybertron than we saw him in War for Cybertron. I'm not exactly sure why we got the design change in Fall of Cybertron and why it was so significantly different from his design change in War for Cybertron. And I think you could attribute it to the, well, this is more Orion Pax and this is Optimus Prime. Because, yeah, he was going by Optimus Prime in War for Cybertron, but he didn't get the Matrix until about halfway through the Autobot portion of the campaign. So that's when he truly became Optimus. Honestly, I kind of wish for continuity and for ease of storytelling they would have referred to him as Orion before he got the Matrix from Primus himself, but at that point I'm just kind of being nitpicky. Regardless, they're both very cool and look very awesome side by side next to each other. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's review featuring the new Studio Series Gamer Edition Optimus Prime from Transformers War for Cybertron, the video game. What is some of your favorite memories from the War for Cybertron video game, and who's a character you very much want to see get the Studio Series treatment sometime soon? I really hope we get more characters that we haven't gotten figures of in the past, and fingers crossed, you know, we get like a Jetfire real soon. But I'm also looking forward to seeing some of the other characters that did get figures get that new updated Studio Series treatment. Jury's still out on the upcoming Bumblebee, though. I do like the upcoming Bumblebee, but I think I'm leaning towards the original Generations release between the two, but I'll know better when I see it in hand and in person. I'm especially excited about Barricade. We never got a Barricade figure before. Hopefully we get a slight remold and repaint into Breakdown soon. And, of course, Megatron and Cliffjumper have been pipelined announced, so we will be seeing those guys sometime soon, probably by the end of the year. Can't wait to see how Megatron turns out. Hopefully we get the Fall of Cybertron versions of Optimus and Megatron at some point in the future as well. Like and subscribe, follow us on social media, stay tuned for more content, and in case you're local or visiting in town, come by our store inside Order 66 Multiverse in the Shops at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.